And we're live. So welcome everyone, or no one, whoever watches this later, welcome. So I have Dan with me today, my good friend Dan, fellow artist and gamer friend from many a year ago. And we were just realizing today that this is our first virtual chat together. So we've been good online gamer friends for a long time, and something was like, we've never actually got to chat to each other online. So he's not a robot. He's a real person.
Yeah.
But if you were a robot,
some might argue.
Yeah, I like robots too. So it's okay. I don't judge between robots. It's fine. So yay. Well, it is Friday. We'll see who joins us today. Go ahead. Dan, if you at any point, I know you're doing some research on art. If you want to share your screen, you can do so. And I'll just toggle between screens. So I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have anything interesting going on right now.
No worries. I will just keep my screen on. And this is me trying to fit it. So I only have one screen I'm working on. I have to get my second screen up, but that's why I kind of like have us in the corner and then art taking up most of it.
Yeah, I love using multi-monitors, but like when you have to resort to just using one, it feels like you're missing an eye or something. It's like partially blind.
I feel kind of silly to admit that I've actually never used a dual monitor system. I've somehow gotten this far. I got a monitor. I don't even have a fancy Cintiq. A little tablet, but it does the job. So
whatever works.
Yeah, I do now. Actually, I just got a second monitor, and I will be setting it up at some point. I just know that once I set up two monitors, I never want to go back to one.
Yeah.
And since we're in the military and we move a lot, there's no guarantee that I'll have the same setup like I did before. So I'm kind of like trying to be happy with basics, but it's going to be dual monitors at some point.
Yeah, it's pretty game changing.
Yeah. Even my mom has dual monitors, and she uses it, just for like Microsoft Office. And I'm the artist and the gamer, and I think it's this one monitor. It's a nice monitor, though. So, all right, I'm just opened up. We have a few people. Tobias at a meeting. Oh, we'll be quiet then. No, incognito. Let's see. Epic. Love the colors. Thanks, Tobias. Oh, sorry, Maria. I didn't even see you. Hello. So we have a few regulars in today and one like. That's great. No, McAfee Security Scan Plus, you do not need to scan right now. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to at least show you guys what I'm working on. So this is the Abyss of Insanity. Actually, it's the Helix Nebula that we're looking at. And I labeled this or named this stream Don't Settle, because I'm going to explain a few stages that I've gone through, and now the third stage I'm on at attempting to achieve the style I'm looking at. And actually, before I get into that, to anyone who's watching or maybe newcomers, I'll just mention that I'm working on a little 30-page pilot comic for my graphic novel Interstella. And this little mini comic is giving me a chance to explore the style I want for my graphic novel, and it's giving me a chance to introduce my character and really test run a few different things that I can do on a much smaller scale and, before I actually go to the real thing. So what I've been doing is in the last few pages, it wasn't until I'm really at the end of this 30-page mini comic that I realized the style I actually wanted to do my comic in. So I've been going back and making revisions. And I've been taking it from more of like a realism and trying to incorporate more like a cartoony linear based style to it. So what we're seeing here This is a page I'm working on, and I have some other panels, so I will bring those up. So here are the other panels, and these have actually been pretty, not drastically, but I've cropped a bunch of things. I've moved them around just to find the best composition. And I won't give too much away right now, but this is my main character, Stella. She's a space angel, and she just saved a solar system from an exploding star. So as a result, she's looking at the nebula in its wake. And so I did the Helix Nebula here, and I actually think it turned out really pretty. Let's go and hide these and take a look at it. So it's really pretty, but the more I looked at it, I realized that it just didn't quite match the style of what I was trying to go for here. And my forte is line art based, more of a cartoony style of what I'm wanting to do with this graphic novel. And as pretty as this is, it just wasn't meeting the goal of what I was trying to accomplish. And oops, let's get that back up here. And so it kept like my brain just kept trying to figure out what was going on. It took me out of the story. And so that's when I realized that something has to change. And I realized that even as pretty as this is, I would rather sacrifice that prettiness and make it where it actually fits the story and fits the purpose of the page. So that's my higher priority, and I'm sacrificing the lower priority to meet that goal. So I took another stab at it. Let me see if I can go down here. I tried to set this up so it would, you guys could see it. Loading. So this was my second stab, and I drew it all out. I literally tried to draw everything. And
that's a lot of detail.
It's a lot of detail. And it's a little more fitting. You can actually see here. We'll hide some of these things here. So the Abyss Part 2, a lot of shading. This took hours. It just took it sucked a lot of time. Really cool in many regards. Very swirly, twirly doodads. And it actually does match better. So you can see again, if we pull these back up, we have the line art that actually matches more of the art up here. It has the same stylistic treatment. But I realized something, and this was yesterday. And as cool as this is, it still wasn't accomplishing. I'm just seeing if I think this is, oh, that's not it. Oh no, you saw ahead. Crap. This was the actual picture.
Oh, okay.
And it still, it was almost stealing attention away from the dot in the middle, because you would start looking at all this cool detail, but it took away from the impact that the scene needs. So this was a picture, and it has not a lot of crazy detail, and it just, I don't know. I sat there, and I'm also using this image in the next page, but blowing it up, and it just wasn't working well, and I couldn't figure it out. And I think I realized that all this stuff here is just upstaging the main point in the middle, at least in my thoughts and how I saw it. So I took a deep sigh, and I said, okay, let's just try one more thing. And so this is what I've been working on today.
Ooh.
And yesterday. And so I feel like this is more true. I'm going to throw up the main image. So that's the original. I think it's more true to the original photograph and the impactfulness.
I like that.
So I like it a lot better too. And let's hide these, you can see. And I'm not too concerned about the borders. This is just kind of a quick mock-up.
Yeah.
But it makes you feel kind of lonely. Like it's meant to kind of have that like desolate, empty feeling. And I at least think it accomplishes that better than the two prior to that. So This is where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, and it has a more of that sort of cloudy look to it, like nebula have. So that I like that. That's nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's better. I feel better with it. Even from that, like, and that's cool. But it almost looks now, even more as I look at it, it looks more like a fractile design. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Something in that family. But I want a nebula. I want the Helix Nebula. So yeah. So I was just thinking as I was working on this yesterday that I'm glad I took another stab at it. And I know it took me a few times to get to it, but I think I'm actually finally on the right track. So this is what I'm going to be working on today. This is my mock-up here. And this is a little quick screenshot that I did. I just had the first two top panels, and I'm trying to decide what sort of coloring I want to employ. So this is where our coloring, shading and value. So this is the light coming down from top. This is as if the light is coming more from the back. And I'm still trying to figure out which one is better. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I might be kind of toggling between these and thinking a little bit. This is just a quick mock-up. This is what it looks like in black and white, the values.
Ooh.
So
it
has. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the that one, the first one, that looks a lot better in like grayscale.
Mm-hmm. The backlit
and in color, but
rather than front lit. Yeah. I don't know. I am actually, I like this one for a couple of reasons. I would actually probably darken the area around it better. It's just a quick mock-up, but it really shows that the light, like, you get some really unique dramatic effects with this little rim lighting onto clouds. It's also a lot easier to render, so I can there's that. I do like this. Really feels like you're kind of going down a hole, and I like the different layers here. But I kind of want this little dot to be the brightest point of the main image. And again, this is a pretty fast mock-up, but the rest of this is almost the same value as that little light. So I think that's why I think I like the backlit more. It's a little darker, and this would be the brightest point. So I want it all to be about that little dot, that little star, that little neutron star. So anyways, these are my thoughts. I'm going to kind of fight it out a little bit on this page. But there you go. Try again. And then the work starts again. So, all right.
It's never over.
It is never over, but that's okay. Now I got to figure out where I am in all of my layers. Okay. And let me quickly check the chat. Oh, we have lots going on. Maria says, I use an Intuos tablet, a small one. Yeah. Practicing drawing with a new brush pen while listening to stream. Oh, is it a traditional brush pen or like a digital one? Never mind. You just mentioned tablet. I would be curious. Yeah, let me know what brush pen you're using. It's always fun to find new tools. And she says, it's good that you gave the colors a try. Thank you. The result is stunning. It's been a journey, but it's fun to see how different attempts give different results. Black Manic. The third one does draw the eye toward the middle. Feels more like a tunnel than a ring. And I'm trying to remember which one is the third one. Let's see, traditional on tracing paper right now. Oh, cool. I love it. Perfect timing. Washing dishes again. Welcome back, Ben. I'm glad you were able to kill two birds with one stone. And we actually caught you, well, I say earlier, but I streamed earlier the other day, so there you go. So, all right. We will see when I get here, and I'll check the back door in case everyone's trying to get in. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and, okay, so that can go away. And that's mock-up. Here it is. All right. I'm doing it a lot bigger. Don't mind me if I mutter to myself. I'm doing this a lot bigger than designed for this page because I'll go ahead and show you my next page. I'm going to be using part of it for this page. So, yeah. So that's why I just took that picture of that mock-up and stuck it in here. So
it looks pretty fitting.
Yeah, that kind of showcases her in there.
That's sorry. That's pretty fitting. It looks.
Yeah, like I said, I liked it better than the old one. I don't even have a comparison here because I was so sick of the old one that I just got rid of those layers, and they were just really slowing down my file and my processing.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Now I got to figure out. Okay, so I think. See. Crosshair to the middle feels more like a tunnel than a ring. Craig, I wonder which one you were talking about. Now I'm really curious. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just... This is real magic, people just staring. You know what? I think I'm going to go with my gut, though. It's a lot flatter. Or I might just try both. Let's do one thing here. Grab my palette. See what happens if I darken up. Maria asks if she's eating the star. No, she's actually praying for the star. Maybe praying before she eats the star? No. She's just cradling it. Oh, no. It's a little neutron star. Poor thing.
Be pretty filling, okay. I'd imagine.
I was going to say, they said the density of a neutron star is basically if you took the Earth and you squeeze it down in about like 1.5 inches, and it would still have the same mass. Oh, yeah. So, something like that. Sorry, my left brain can't science while my right brain arts.
So have you heard about have you heard the recent stuff about Planet 9?
A little bit, but not a whole lot. So
okay, so for like decades there's been a theorized 9th planet in our solar system.
Yeah.
And they think that because there's something out there with an intense gravity that is interfering with other objects. And some people have thought that it's just like a gas giant or something, but nobody has ever been able to find it. Well, recently, someone has come up with a theory that it might be a miniature black hole. And they think that it's actually called a primordial black hole.
Yeah.
Which is a theorized, something that was theorized by Stephen Hawking like decades ago. And what a primordial black hole is, it's a black hole that formed in the early stages of the universe. It wasn't formed by like a collapsing star, so it's unusually stable because like normally black holes just evaporate over time. And they think that if it is a black hole, it would be about the size of a grapefruit, but it would have the mass of, I think it's like 10 to 15 times that of Earth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So they're actually trying to figure out ways to test to see if that is what it is. So they're, yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, is this what they're thinking of instead of Planet 9? This is a different.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They, what they're going to do is they're going to try someone recommended sending out like miniature satellites and seeing if they get moved in a certain way, and that would indicate that there's at least something there. Other scientists have suggested looking for using sensors to look for like little gamma ray bursts of like things getting sucked in. So yeah.
So where now this must be trying to remember, I should know this by now. I mean, this obviously has to be pretty far out. We're talking like beyond the Kuiper Belt. Or I know that it's like the Kuiper Belt, which is like the icy remains like way beyond Pluto. And then there's something with the Oort cloud. So if they're thinking it's a black hole, I'm wondering how far out they're thinking within the solar system.
I think it's like on the edge. Let me look real quick.
I'm fascinated. There's a YouTuber named goes by Veritasium. I know that I saw that he has a video on the 9th planet, but I think it might be a few years old at this point, so it could be outdated. And I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I actually didn't realize that black holes could be so small. I thought they were always like these giant things, but actually, I think the black hole at the center of the Milky Way is not. Don't quote me on this, but it's like not much bigger than our sun, which surprised me.
It's possible. They think that primordial black holes are the source of the black holes in the center of galaxies, and that they might have formed, that they might be like sort of the seed that forms that galaxies.
Yeah. Well, I actually do not know much on this, so thank you. I'm gonna have to look up more of this stuff. Always learn something. Let's see. The bias. Any conspiracies? What is Planet 9? Ooh, possibly. Someone said it's a dark star. Sounds like an anchor point of some point, like a cosmic placeholder.
Yeah.
Nice. Like it could be the reason for Uranus being tilted on its axis.
Anything's
that
possible,
is.
yeah.
I know. My theory is that this black hole's like glue. It holds things together and keeps the energy flowing. I love that scientists can discover so much just by tracing gravity and just different visible or I'm sorry. Oh gosh, if I feel like I'm opening my mouth and nothing but like layman's terms are coming out.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Like physics isn't really my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still interesting to read about.
Mm-hmm. I hear you loud and clear. There's definitely still something that I just love about science, even though I feel like that it's still definitely not my forte. But oh dear, sorry, trying to figure out this mask. I kind of within the last few years I started using masks in Photoshop and Clip Studio, and they're pretty amazing. But there are times where I'm still like, what? How does this work? What am I doing? Because it's almost like a layer within a layer.
Oh yeah.
Have you worked with mask yet?
Not in Clip Studio or I think I may have done some with Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
I have done masking with like video editing, so
I guess it's somehow related. Oh, whoa. What video editor do you use? Or editing software, I should say.
Excuse me, kind of broke up a little bit there.
No worries. What video editing software do you use?
I tend to go back and forth between Sony Vegas and Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
It just kind of depends on what I'm wanting to try to do because there's different things of both that I like.
Mm-hmm. I think I may have used Premiere like back in the day, but it's been a hot second. I asked because at some point I know I need to actually, if I want to do more videos, I'm going to need to get something for that.
Mm.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. I know you're watching. You're just kind of like, what is going on? This is the real life of being an artist. Just trying to figure out what you're doing. By the way, if you were going to work on art or if you're trying to research something, don't let me distract you. I want to make sure you actually get some things done.
Yeah, I'm still kind of reading here.
Oh, I figured. Okay. I remember what I'm doing now. A moment. Moment. Okay. better. You know, I might have to feel like it's kind of one of those things you start working on, but sometimes I find that I work on something and it isn't until it kind of goes through like an ugly stage or a stage where you're like, I think that's where it's supposed to be, but I just don't know. So it kind of feels like it's at that place right now. I'll probably do a little bit and then just kind of let it sit and stew, and I'll come back to it. I wish that there's a faster way of doing this.
Probably is some magic way, but trick is just finding it.
Yeah, usually I actually close off my lines. Like I would, if this was my line art layer, I would like close off of these lines and then select this area here. Make sure it expands a couple, like a pixel or two, and then that way it gives me bounds that I can work through. But the problem is that all these pieces are separate. So I've done it before where I actually separate them on different layers, but there's kind of no rhyme or reason that at this point it would just take just as long, if not longer. So I'm just having to go around and fill it in by hand. I may just come back to this. I kind of feel like I want to sit on it a little bit more. But it's kind of getting there. And then what I'll go in later and just fill in some of that area to make it softer. I think I'm just going to actually take a break and work on Stella, because this one needs to get redone anyway. So she was like this before, and which is really cool picture of her, but it was too far out, so I needed to zoom in. But I have to redo the lines a little bit because obviously it's now rasterized. So
Yeah.
And I drew her to be seen far out, so let me take a look. I'll make this a certain color. I do like that back Clip Studio.
Oh yeah, I just remembered a question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What version of Clip Studio do you use, like the Pro or the EX version?
I'm using the Pro right now. I would like to, I'd like to someday actually get the EX. And that one comes with the ability to view like different pages all at once, a comic all at once. And it comes with other features too. But that's what I want.
Yes, it has like, sorry, what?
No, go for it.
Oh, yeah, it has like stuff for animating, and there's this one feature. So I got the EX version, and there's this feature that I'm wanting to try out at some point. It's it's like an AI coloring thing. It doesn't seem like it'll be that useful, but I want to try it out just to see.
Is it like what does it do? Does it like smart color?
It's been a while since I've looked at it, so I don't know the exact mechanics of it, but it is supposed to intelligently somehow figure out like how to color your line art. What? I've never tried it before, and I'm extremely curious about it.
Interesting. I thought they had that. I'm sorry, would you have Pro, right?
What? Sorry.
Clip Studio Pro, not EX, correct?
Yeah, it's in EX. and I have EX, so but I've never tried it.
Okay. I vaguely remember hearing about that, but I don't know. I was kind of like, well, I guess I know how to. I have a system down, so I'll just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to figure out if I want to change her face a little bit right now. I think I'm just going to go over it.
Oh, I see how that works. I'm looking it up right now. So what you do is, so let's just say you have like a line art of like Stella,
Mhm.
and you so what you do is you put down like let's just say like a little blob of skin tone on her face, a little blob of color for her hair, and a little blob of her spacesuit, and then you
Yeah.
I don't see how to do it yet, but you activate the coloring system, and it'll automatically just color it in, and it looks like it does. Looks like it does like gradation and stuff like that. So, which it's kind of hard for me to like look on their web page about this because the scrolling is extremely weird, mildly infuriating.
Yeah, that. I actually think I do remember seeing something like that. That would be a really interesting feature to try.
Yeah.
I do wonder what you can stipulate for it though. So like I wonder if you can make it so that they like I sometimes with programs like that I've tried it and they it doesn't like fill out to the lines completely, so you have to go in and just like touch things up, which is not bad if it does it correctly enough.
Yeah.
I wonder they probably would do it where it's anti-aliased, meaning that's like the hard pixel edge, like like that, because that's important when I'm using flats when I draw, so I basically do my lines and then I have my flats. It basically allows me to select down to the pixel, and it makes coloring just a lot cleaner. Whereas here, this is aliased, so obviously it's not getting all of that there. So I started doing flatting about a couple years ago. I never really did flatting before that, but I was kind of like, what's the point of it? But it makes more sense now. But I'm sure usually, I mean, they cater to comic artists, so they probably, oops, I'm already aliased. They probably have that feature built in, I would assume. Oh, and Craig is in the back. Hey, Craig.
Yeah, I'm not sure because again, I don't know very much about it.
Yeah, but that is intriguing. Interesting. I will have to look that up. I kind of forgot it. I remember hearing about it, and then I promptly forgot about it after that. So.
I missed the beginning of that. Are you talking about a specific feature in Clip Studio?
Yeah, Ben said that he found something that is almost like a smart coloring guide. He was describing it as something that you would basically within your line art determine, you know, like a spot of color for the hair, a spot of color for the skin and clothing, and it would automatically fill it in.
Whoops.
Interesting.
Right?
I know I used to have an animation program that would do that for animation, where you'd have a series of pictures and you'd color one, and then it would automatically color the other ones as long as the outside shape didn't break.
Mm-hmm.
So you could draw, you know, your first keyframe, color it in, and then it would automatically color the other frames, which was kind of neat. But I never was very good at animation, so.
And it's one of those things that sounds so cool, but I would spend my life and make 2 minutes of video. But, we lost Dan. He said that he was having some Wi-Fi issues, so we'll see.
Oh, was he?
I think.
I wanted to meet Dan. You've talked about Dan before.
I know. Did you hear the beginning of the stream?
I heard a little bit. You were talking about ninth planet, sort of a micro black hole that is influencing our universe, and it was very interesting.
Ah, well, prior to that, let's see. Let me see if I can. There you are.
There he is.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi permitting. We'll ask nicely if the Wi-Fi will let him in.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's yours or mine.
Not the greatest spot.
No worries.
I kind of wandered around. Kept breaking.
He's breaking up. Is this worse since I've joined? Because if I'm messing up this with Dan, I can pop out. I'm just.
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Doesn't seem to be worse.
Oh, there it is. We'll just kind of let it work it out of its system. Last May, I was streaming with a couple other artists, and I was having some pretty bad just internet connection. So I bought a Wi-Fi extender, and I was currently staying with my mom. My husband was deployed, so I was just staying with her. And so I bought this extender, and it had decent reviews on Amazon. It was like 4-star review. I can get behind that. And I get it, and I plug it in, and it actually performs worse than if I didn't even have an extender. And my husband's looking at this, and he's like, "Babe, this is a 2-star review." And I'm like, "No, like it was 4 stars." And we were looking at it, and there were just little hints being like, "Oh, the English on here is a little funny." I'm like, "That's interesting." Like that, it said like in the instruction manual, like, "Please plug this into the wall." Like, using like lingo that you're like, "You're asking me to what?" And we looked it up again, and it was determined that we figured out all those reviews were all fake reviews.
Yeah.
Because it was 5 days. It showed that within the last 5 days, the reviews had changed. So it went back.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one I got actually worked.
Nice.
That's good.
Alrighty. But we were Craig was wanting to meet Dan, and I was telling everyone that Dan and I've been longtime gamer friends back in the day. Is it 20 years ago? I don't know when we started playing. 20 years. 2000.
Yeah,
I guess that's
2000s.
20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 20 years. I can math. But the funny thing is, we've never actually chatted in real life and in person or virtually. It's all just been Messenger and send Messenger back in the day and all that.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. My parents were pretty, careful and wanted me to be careful. And so I think I was telling him, I guess it's just drilled into my mind that, you don't talk to anyone on the internet. And for whatever reason, we just never connected. And finally, I was like, I guess he's okay. I guess he's not, anyone crazy. So we're good. No approval. So, yes. So, Craig, what are you working on today?
I'm
show you for a little bit.
well, I told you I'm a little bit ADHD, right? So I've got 3 different pages on the go here that I'm trying to figure out what I want to work on right now.
Oh,
So I've got the page I was looking
that's
at
just
last
being
time.
practical.
Yeah, I've got that page, and I could do the shading on that, but I decided that I needed more of an establishing shot before this page. So I have another page that I've roughed out the backgrounds, and then I got this weird idea for a page that'll come much later in the story. So I'm trying to figure that one out. You know, do I want this to be like a 2-page spread, or do I want to try and adjust it a little bit, just make it into 1 full page, and yeah. So I'm just trying to figure that stuff out right now.
You know what helps with that?
Thumbnailing. Yes, that would help, Jessica. Thank you.
Faster too.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I like the hills and the waters.
Yeah, I just stumbled across an image, and
Really
it matched up with a concept that I already had, and I thought that's the perfect sort of background for that moment. And so I sketched it out real quick, and then I thought,
yeah.
How do I want to present that? How do I want to use that? And I'm trying to figure that out. But I think what I'm going to do is throw some flats into my establishing shot right now.
That's a good thing to do. That looks really nice, by the way.
Thank you.
I especially like that top scene.
Yeah, it's because the next page, there's so much text that goes into it that you don't get a full sort of feeling for the space. So I thought if I do like a bit of an establishing shot, and the other character can enter, and then I can get into more of the dialogue.
I think that's a great idea. I tend to like that that approach. I've seen comics that more serialized, like shorter little floppy comics that you're just kind of thrown from one scene to the next, sometimes even on the same page, and you just feel whiplash, like you can't.
Yeah.
Like, where are we now? Like what's going on? So it also tends to be like a Japanese approach, like a manga approach, where they like to establish it and then go into it. A lot in Western comics too.
Yeah. The other piece I like
if you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I like particularly, like I've got the sort of establishing shot of the space there. Let me just see if I can find my proper layer.
I know that feels like all the time.
Yeah, there. So the space is established in that shot, but then in this shot, because it's a different angle, and my main character is going to be right here, and you're going to get a nice close-up shot of her before you go to this, where she's a little bit in the background. So
yeah,
I kind of like that idea.
That's a really good choice. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Good storytelling. And you did it without a thumbnail.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
My thumbnail was my 3D model that I built. I spent the time to build the 3D model so I could examine it from all angles and decide what works and what doesn't.
There you go. That's true. Yeah, you did. You worked really. You made that 3D model look really good, and it's paying off. And
Yeah.
It's probably saving you a ton of time, actually. I really need to do more of that.
So what kind of gaming do you guys still game together?
We haven't actually for a while. I'm being adultish and trying to take care of daily life. So I haven't been gaming a whole lot, but we met, I guess, playing the good old Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Okay.
If anyone has heard of that or remembers that.
I think I remember that.
Back in the day. So.
Yeah. MS Gaming Zone.
Oh, the MSN Gaming Zone. You know, I feel so like whenever I hear that, and people are like, what? So, and then the people who get it were like, I remember that too. But I like, we played, we kind of RPG style where we just like play a game and sort of sandbox it and build our own story. And I love that so much. It was just so much fun.
I don't know what happened to you, Dan, and your lights went out for a second, but we had this really dramatic effect where Dan's lights went out and it was just his head lit up, and it was kind of neat.
I saw that.
I think he's frozen again.
I think the robots got him.
Uh-oh.
And I can't, my Wi-Fi is not doing well either, because sometimes I can't tell if it's me or someone else, but I have it ready, like have it on my phone, my little hotspot ready to go if I need it. I just can't use it that much because I only have so many gigabytes per month, so it's kind of my emergency reserve.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be back. The robots took them down.
So how far away is your router that you're using Wi-Fi for? Like physically?
Pretty much at the opposite end of the house as far away as you can get. It always seems to work out that way everywhere we move. Yeah, even in our last place, like I was in the upper room. It's like all the way on the other side.
Yeah.
Because that's where the TV is.
Yeah, that's tough. When we moved into this, it's an old house. Like, we live in a small community full of older houses. This house is I think it's about 85 years old or something. And
that's kind of cool.
It's nice. I mean, I like the sort of charm of the older houses. But when we moved in, of course, it's really difficult to route wiring through an old house like that without tearing everything apart. We have lathe and plaster on some of the walls still, so you can't just cut into the gyprock, and it's a little different. But we signed up with a different service. Yeah. And they came in, installed a device in the basement, and they ran wires all the way around the outside of the house and up the wall and brought it straight into the office here where I am. So the main router's right here. And then they had a separate wire that they were able to run from the basement up to the TV. And so I'm lucky that I don't have to rely on Wi-Fi. You froze up again for a sec, I think.
Sorry.
Did you miss all that?
I froze up. I switched over. I heard the wiring going up on the outside, and then I changed it to my hotspot that I should have waited, and I wasn't thinking. So I'm sorry. You saying that they're running wiring on the outside? Well,
yeah, they ran wiring all the way around the house and then drilled into the office so that everything I need is right here. And then they have a separate wire that goes to the TV downstairs, so I don't have to use Wi-Fi. But
got it.
Yeah,
that sounds like the ideal situation. And we've talked about that too, but I don't know why. I feel like every time we talk about it, every place we move, we'd have to like buy a whole new setup and Ethernet. I guess we could take our old Ethernet cables, but we'd need a lot. And I didn't realize how expensive Ethernet cables were, but they kind of add up, but it might be worth it at this point.
Well, that's the thing is if you sign up with a new service, like you're starting a brand new service, a lot of time installation is included. And if they have to run a wire all the way around your whole house to install it, that should all be included. So you might want to think about changing services and seeing if you can get a deal like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I might look into that in the future. I never really thought about that or dawned on me, but shoot, that would save a lot of frustration.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to do it yourself, you're right. It would be a lot of wire, and that's not cheap. But if you're signing up for, you know, a year or a 2-year plan, and they give you free installation, well, they have to install it where you need it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Well, huh. All right. I will look into that. Probably we're only here for another not even year, so I guess I can hang in there until then. All right, I'll keep. Oh no. Dan says, well, this is awkward. The power went out.
Oh no.
Power. My Wi-Fi is trying to still kill me. That's a little bit more than a few Wi-Fi problems there.
Yeah.
Rats.
That's a shame. First
That's
time.
that's why the lights went out, and we're all like, he looks so cool, and then he never came back.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm still freezing too. Sorry, guys.
He must have like a battery backup or something for his computer.
I was gonna check if today was Friday the 13th or something. Oh no.
I have to say, I appreciated you sharing about your struggles with that page. I have.
Oh, good.
I have also been there where, you know, you work on something and you work on it and you work on it and you get to a point and you're like, this is not communicating what I want it to communicate. This is not achieving what I want it to achieve. And then you have to make that decision, you know, just start over.
Yeah. That's I mean, even now, I'm actually, while I'm having you on the screen, I feel bad. I feel like I torture people by showing them all my boring cloud work all the time. So I'm working on it a little bit, and as I'm working on it, it's kind of like I find a lot of pieces of art go through kind of an ugly stage. I just call it the ugly stage, where it just doesn't look like it's driving. But you just kind of have to need to carry on, and then it resolves itself. So I'm hoping that's the case. Let's see. But I think it's just important I don't, especially in something like this. I'm glad I'm glad I did a couple different mock-ups to at least get a couple different options rather than like so many times I just go in, all chips in, totally commit to something, and then find out that like it just doesn't work. I spent all this time detailing on something like what I just did the other day, and now I'm not working on that.
But sometimes you really can't tell until you.
But you mentioned you said you like this.
Oh, I lost you there.
Oh, keep going.
No, I lost you there. You were making a comment. I didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Nope.
Oh, okay. I forgot what I was saying, but yeah. No? Can you hear me at all?
I think there's a delay. And you're coming and going. You keep going. Don't pay attention to me. It might be on my end for all I know. Seems like the people in the chat can hear you.
Maria can hear me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Am I synced?
You sound good now.
What is today? Like the day that technology doesn't work?
I don't know.
Dan said that the hamster on the wheel got tired.
Yeah. What was I saying when you started
Oh my
throwing up there? I was just saying that there's times when you can't really tell if something's working until you've put some color and some shading and you've done quite a bit of work, and then that's when you realize it's not quite working.
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. And it's frustrating, but I mean, you know, obviously it happens to you. It happens to me. It happens to a lot of artists. And at least I think what I took away from that is you don't get, I've also heard of my teachers in the past, they don't get married to an initial concept or, you know, something might look pretty, but don't get totally committed to it because it's always subject to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just one of those cases where it looked really cool, but it wasn't the appropriate style for what I needed. So, ooh, that just helped right there. Okay. All right. Pushing through the ugly phase.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Is there a quick
What's
and
your
easy
question?
way? Is there a quick and easy way to flip one layer, but not the whole image?
What you mean? Like, what's your purpose, to check it or to? There's two ways of doing
that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So do you know the flip canvas?
Flip canvas, I know, but that flips all of the layers.
Okay, so you really just, I think the only way is to edit, transform, and flip horizontal or vertical. But you would have to edit, undo, and go back and undo it. I don't think they have a feature where you can flip just a layer that's non-destructive editing. Huh. Not to my knowledge.
All right. Let's see what I can do here.
Yeah, as long as you make sure you undo it, or you just duplicate the layer and then try it.
Yep, that does the whole thing.
Yeah. So you have it selected. Did you try the edit transform?
Yep.
I'm sure that there's probably a shortcut for that too.
Yes, that's it. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So you have to accept it before you can move it around. So, but that now it's stuck that way. Whereas like when you flip the canvas in Clip Studio, it's more just it's not actually saving the pixels or the vector, like whatever. It's not saving it like you just did. It just kind of previews it. Which I really like. It's actually one of the features I really, really like about Clip Studio over Photoshop.
I do like that just for
Photoshop does that.
Yeah, I like that just for testing to see if you're skewed in one direction or another. But there are often times where I want to completely reverse a character. And it's nice to be able to just flip that layer that the character's on and not flip the background.
Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah, I paused because I don't do it a whole lot. But yeah, that's the way I do it. Transform.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, there's very possible that they probably have a preview that does what you're looking for somewhere, somehow.
No, that's exactly what I needed. I wanted to just completely reverse this character and have them looking in the other direction. And I could have just erased it and completely redrawn it, but it's nice for consistency to just flip it.
Mm-hmm. It'll transform will do that job.
Yeah, nice.
I've done that before when, oh, go ahead.
No, just saying when I was using Sketchbook Pro, there was a feature that was flip layer. So you just copy whatever you want to flip to a different layer and then flip the whole layer. But yeah, this works just as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing with that is you can flip an entire layer, or you can select something within that layer and just flip that selection.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. Photoshop does that too.
Sure.
Let's see.
Are you getting somewhere with the nebula? Are you feeling good about it?
I did one little thing, and actually I'll go ahead and share my screen so you can see. And it seemed to like kind of be the little magic, the golden ticket that just suddenly helped. I was like, yeah, it's this little thing right here. I added a little not little highlight that's not bound by lines.
Oh, okay,
and
nice.
Sorry, no, it looks a little confusing. It's because I have my test layer on. That's what it should look like. It seemed to help a bit. So I was like, oh, okay, yes. Otherwise, it just looks like it's just outlined.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of gives it a little more three-dimensionality. So it's like,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah, definitely more depth to it like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to keep trying it. Keep at it.
Yeah.
It was it. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I named this video what I did, because I was just thinking about like, it's interesting. I'm a perfectionist and I work to try and make everything perfect. And that's, I guess I can call it, in some ways, a downfall. Is it prevents me from getting things done faster and really just, finishing things. And so I've really adopted a lot of the motto, finish not perfect. And I'm striving hard to practice that. But it was interesting because just in light of what I was doing here, I just felt like it wasn't working. And it really was still not the correct choice for what I needed. And I feel good about going back and changing it. But it kind of it just got me thinking like, there are times where you got to just be like, this is as good as it gets. And, I'm always going to get better in the future and I can't sweat and try and make everything perfect. But there are other times where it's like, no, like it's just not right. So,
yeah.
Have you struggled with that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I find too, I mean, you shouldn't go around comparing yourself to other people, but sometimes I find it helpful because I look at some things that are very simplistic, but still work, and I look at them and I think, I don't have to try and match this other style. I can do it in a more simplistic, sketchy way, and it still works,
Yeah.
I know for what I'm doing now, I was very much inspired by Kazu Kibuishi, the Amulet series.
Yeah.
And
I can do that.
He does beautiful artwork, but when you look at the characters, they're very simple.
I've noticed that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, I watched an interview with him, and he talked about that was a specific choice that he made, and as the series went on with his main characters, he even reduced the rendering on their faces more as the story went on.
Huh.
Because he said, and I don't know if it was something he had read or people he had talked to or what it was, but he said, the reader can associate with the character better if it's less rendered, which I think is kind of a theory behind a lot of manga.
Yeah. Yeah.
they can put themselves in that character's shoes if the character has a more kind of generic kind of look to it and a less specific look, you know?
Yeah. And that's really fascinating. And it's been a while actually since I thought of that, but it's kind of true. I agree, because then you want to be careful. You don't want to have everyone, like all your characters, look too generic either, because that's what gives it uniqueness, is it being a different character, and every character is a little different.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really interesting, it was an interesting interview listening to him talk about sort of how he did it. And the other thing that I found really interesting was, I mean, you read something like that. I mean, that's a pretty famous and well-established series, and you read it and you sort of imagine what the creator is like, and he talked about the stuff that he did when he was a teenager, when he was younger, and it was, you know, he was a teenage boy. It was full of obnoxious jokes and, you know, inappropriate humor and stuff like that. But when he started that Amulet series, he said he wanted to do something that he could be proud of and show to his children and hand off as a legacy to his family, you know? And you can see that in the story.
Yeah. That I do remember thinking those thoughts though when I was studying his work, and I was just kind of surprised how, like, they're not ridiculously detailed, especially like the characters. They're not they're almost kind of sketchy. At least the series. I haven't read any of the newer stuff, but the ones I was looking at, I'm like, these feel kind of rough and sketchy, but it's like you don't notice when you read it. And
I've got them here. Just a second.
Oh, that'd be fun to see them.
Yeah, they're I think the way I try to describe them is the characters are simple, but the lines are confident. I don't know.
Put you on screen. Oh no, sorry, did the wrong one.
See that, like, they're not complex, but those lines are clean. Oh,
Here, hold on.
I lost you.
And I'm gonna try to get you on. How can I feature just you? There it is. Okay, you pull it back just a little bit from the camera. Yeah, right about there. It's a little hard to see, but yeah, they're very simple lines, very confident.
Yeah, but they're consistently nice, smooth, round lines, but not a complex design.
No.
No, and even the shading and the lighting and that, it's effective, but it's not overly complex. Now, his backgrounds can be quite painterly and beautiful.
Yeah.
But the characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the characters are very simple, cartoony kind of characters, and this is kind of the feel I'm going for now. I'm not professing to be at his level, but it's the look I'm kind of shooting for. If there's another one there, I was just trying to see if I could find one of the really big double-page backgrounds. There's a really nice painterly.
Near the end, I think. Yeah, that one is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see with the glare, but
yeah,
that's better. But yeah, it's a nice painterly kind of background, but it works with the cartoony characters. Like it still fits. Yeah,
that's one of the. Yeah, it's one of the few times I actually see it working because I've seen both. But and I think I personally like I'm trying to actually make mine all like one specific style, just because I feel like my styles fight each other, but it works well with his. And that was his first book too, so I think since then he's also made like his style has grown since
Oh,
then.
for sure. Yeah. That was the very first issue. But yeah, I mean, like with the stuff that you're doing, there is consistency between your background elements and your character, but it really looks nice. I think because I know you say you've been working on the whole color thing, but your colors are gorgeous, and it makes your characters sit really well in the environment.
Thanks.
They look really good.
It's been a journey. That's for certain. I feel what was that?
No, go ahead.
I was just saying that I learned so much about color and light and value when I went to the illustration masterclass and just studied with all those people and those brilliant minds. And I still hear their voices in my head and like, value.
It's good that you got something out of it and it's working for you.
Yeah, it is. It is. Always something to learn.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Oh my goodness, this is gonna take. Well, actually, I guess it's kind of moving along clean. I will say, I've really enjoyed studying Matt Rhodes and a lot of his work. I wonder if I could pull up one of his things.
I went and took a look at his was it Tellurian?
Yes.
They are beautiful, and it's nice to see. He posted some of the rough sketches and the process he went through to get to the final picture. That was really nice to see.
Yes, absolutely. I fully agree. Here, I'm actually gonna put it on your art for a little bit.
Sure.
I'm gonna try and find one. I'll show you. I've been studying his clouds, particularly how he renders clouds, and I'm kind of like going to him like, Matt, tell me how to do it. How do you do it? I want to like, show me an example, and like scouring.
Yeah.
Looks like my internet is
Getting a little rough there.
sputtering. Yeah. No, sorry. It's not worth it. My internet was straining, but I'll fix it next time and show you guys. Okay. Clouds. I'm envisioning Dan sitting in his building with like a candle right now. Oops. Uh-oh. Wonder if I'm lost to the internet again.
Trying to figure out the hand gesture for someone enters the room and you're saying, come here, come here.
Okay. Can you hear me, Craig?
Yep.
Okay, good. Sorry, I wasn't sure. Yeah, no. How would you do the hand gesture?
Yeah, well, I think different cultures have different ways of doing it. And I remember studying like, I think it was East Indian culture where they would gesture with their fingers down to tell people to come.
Oh, yeah.
But in North America, we kind of put our fingers up. I'm trying to get my camera right, and we're kind of waving this way.
Yeah.
And or would it be better to have like a bit of a point, more of a pointy finger?
What is he? Walk me through what he's saying and gesturing.
There's it might be a little hard to see with just the black and white. So in the big establishing shot at the top, I'm going to have a character entering the doorway here, coming into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character is here on the table. So she will see it as soon as she enters, but not really know what it is and might not even quite register it. And he's going to be telling her, come over here and take a look at this kind of thing. So she's kind of on the other side of the room, and he wants her to come right over where he is. I don't want to have a whole lot of dialogue and I just want this to be more visual. But
right.
It's just that, when someone enters the room and you're kind of like, oh, hey, come here, come here.
Is he saying, come look at like the, I mean, so he can, the character entering the room can see the other character on the table, in the middle. And so he's basically saying, hey, come here, check this out. Is he like, does he have a clipboard in front of him or like some screen or information?
Yeah, he does have some information on the pad there. There's like a little pad on the table, and there's going to be some items on the table over here that are related to the character that she won't really be aware of until she comes closer. So maybe that's, I want to sort of gesture towards those things because they're kind of important.
Yeah.
Because they'll be sitting kind of here.
Because since I think you don't even necessarily need the gesture, like it's not as important to say come here because he's already saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't seem to need the gesture as well. So I would say if he's wanting to, like, he's trying to communicate to her, come here so you can look at these things. Maybe instead he's indicating the objects, her clothing or stuff, pointing at it, or having his hand open, like, check this out. What is this?
Yeah, okay.
Like that, or something. But I don't think you necessarily need to worry about the come here since he's already.
Maybe I'll just tilt his head a little bit more so it's a little clearer that he's looking over towards where the door is.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell her to come look at this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he's still kind of looking down a little bit.
It's always interesting the things you run into, like collectively, like as artists, we, especially storytelling, what works and what is not working is, I've always found that kind of interesting. Me, like, I never thought I would have to worry about XYZ. Yeah, how like
Yeah.
Even how you position someone and angle someone, you're kind of like setting up a play in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many factors that go into it, and yeah, it takes a lot of thought. That's why I was, when you were saying you don't think you could thumbnail and stream at the same time, because thumbnailing really, that's when you're really putting all this thought into it. You're thinking, how am I going to communicate this? What am I going to do here? What position is he standing in? Why is he there?
Jason was saying that his thumbnailing was like his least favorite thing. Depending on if I'm in the groove or in the zone, there have been times where it's just the most exciting thing, because you kind of like watching this movie play out with all these like different possibilities, and you sort of get to pluck out the ones that are like, yeah, that's a great shot of that character, and that's a good one. Those are like, I want those for certain. Other times when it's not coming and it's not flowing, it's kind of like, here's one character, here's the other character. Now they're talking to each other, like holding up Barbie dolls. Like, this is the most lame scene ever. I can figure out something different. It's a rough draft. I have something, and at least it's something. I can work with something. I still haven't done a ton of thumbnailing yet for my main story. Just more for the my 30-page little comic. Hi, Rainy. Welcome. Glad you can grace this with your presence. Hang out right there. It is fourth hand in front of me. This is my cat. You just see her tail. She does have a head though.
I have my dog here, but she does not like to be picked up. She's a Frenchie. She doesn't like to be restrained.
Aw, like a French bulldog?
Yeah.
Oh, fun. My sister-in-law loves French bulldogs. I keep asking him, like, so when are you guys gonna get one? And they're like, someday. They have a 1-year-old son right now, and they live in a place that probably you won't, just not big enough for a dog to really enjoy its space with a 1-year-old running around.
Yeah. Well, you definitely want to prioritize. When you have kids, you don't want to have that responsibility of having to take care of a dog too, if you can avoid it.
And maybe if you had it prior to having the kid and you're kind of used to it, but maybe getting a puppy is not the right time, like shortly after you have a kid. It's like one thing at a time. Pace yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of nice thing about cats, is just kind of like a robot. I just press the autopilot on her and it's like, okay, you're good to go. Good. Go do your thing, cat.
There is something nice about that independence.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to have, like I said, this week has been kind of one of those transition weeks of like, how do I work without having anyone near me again? Like, there's no one here except for you, Kat. It's just us today. Oh. I think that's why I really appreciated the live streams that Jason started, got all this going. It's just nice to work with other artists and other people.
Yeah.
Feels much less lonely. Thank you for joining, and thank you everyone in the chat. Oh, I like that. I like what you did.
I was just pointing over at the objects that are on the table.
Yeah, that works. His head, like how I didn't see you change it, but it definitely feels like he's actually talking to her and saying, like, hey, check this out.
Good.
It's amazing. So again, like a little tweak like that is just does so much.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't even like bad or anything before. Like it was still working before, but now like it's even better.
Good.
Love it.
But it is remarkable how just a little tilt of the head or a little squint of the eye or a little smirk can totally change the mood, you know, and what you're communicating.
That's one of my favorite things about storytelling and characters. One of my favorite things and most aggravating things is trying to find just that right look that I'm trying to convey, and it's tricky.
Yeah.
Kind of making decent space on this. That's good. I haven't checked the chat. Let's see. Maria, wow, sorry, this is a while ago, guys. Maria said live streaming was just too much for the building's power supply. Knowing this place, probably. Maria was saying, actually, Tobias said, I got food.
He finished washing his dishes.
What?
He finished washing his dishes.
No, that was Ben.
Oh,
Tobias got food.
Mm-hmm.
What food did you get, Tobias? Can you share some with us? And Maria says, I like not perfect, but convincing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good mantra. I had a teacher one time say that we are kind of we're the illusionists. We are here to create believability.
Yeah.
I like that. I was also listening to a stream or YouTube video, an interview of Matt Rhodes, and he was talking. He knows he's done when the piece gets the point across.
Yeah.
I mean, within reason, like not just like a quick sketch, but like when the message is delivered and received, and he's like, yeah, okay, I did what I came here to accomplish. So that was interesting to me, because going back and trying to like looking at that old nebula that I was working on, I think in my mind I was like, the more detail I have, the cooler it'll be, and realizing it's like it actually kind of made it harder to read. So more detail is not always the solution.
No. It is hard though, especially with the kinds of things you're doing, where as a standalone image, you might want to put a whole lot of detail into it and just have this beautiful, gorgeous image. But as part of a sequential story, you need to put an emphasis somewhere,
That is I would almost say that's the number one lesson I've been learning about making comic pages, because I spent more time doing standalone images, and you see that just as the image itself. But your page you see it as a whole, and not just the page, but the page next to it or whatever is next to it, and then really not just those pages, but like the chapter and the book as a whole. So it's really a different way of it's a different kind of art.
Yeah.
I think, and that was maybe one of the bigger challenges that I did face at IMC, is they had some comic artists there, but there were kind of more of more realistic artists, and with an emphasis on realism or semi-realism. And so it was just working with other artists would say, like, you need work with photo reference, and some were a little more stickler than others. So, which was helpful, and I really did need to work and use my tools of photo reference more, but in some ways it kind of made it more difficult to create comic art. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. Yeah, it was just interesting. So finding that balance of when to use it and knowing that like I'm also not, that's not my goal is to create realistic pages. I'm here to create a cartoony style and something that's comprehensively seen as a whole and not just by one page alone.
Yeah. It's a different mindset. It's a different sort of way of looking at things.
Mm-hmm. All that to say what you said in like 3 words.
But you have to go through that process to get to those 3 words. That's the.
I know it's Friday when it's like, I'm losing my mind. Looks like we're about to have a nice storm on our hands.
You're having a storm, you said?
Mm-hmm. Looks like it's about to break. Clouds. Florida gets these afternoon thunderstorms almost every day.
Are you like are you in the northern part of Florida?
I'm in the middle. I'm in Tampa area.
Okay.
So I don't really know how it works in northern or southern.
Yeah, I don't really know it very well. But my mother worked as a nurse in Florida for a while. She's kind of in the middle northern area of the state, and it was like that. Like every night for 10 or 15 minutes, you'd have like this downpour, and then it would be done.
Yeah.
I found that really bizarre.
It is very bizarre. Definitely nothing I grew up with growing up in Seattle. Like it says it rain and it'd probably rain all day, but it just kind of drizzle. But here it's just like angsty, just all at once. And it's like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So humid. Okay, I'm gonna hop on. All right, Maria says that she's probably gonna head out here soon. Well, Maria, whenever you do head out, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And I hope you have an awesome, wonderful, and relaxing weekend. All right, I'm going to pop it on my screen for a little bit. And I'm going to take a quick break from clouds. And I'm going to work on Stella again.
Need to do that sometimes. They just shift gears, just do something different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That, and I feel bad just working on boring clouds. Screen got me. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but laugh. I know Jason will watch this later, but like when I'd be on a stream, like I'd mostly be working on like revisions and boring things, and like he would kind of keep it on my screen a little bit, but then it was like not on it a whole lot, and I was like, I would not blame anyone for not wanting to watch this boring stuff.
I don't know. I think the people that are tuning into your stream are probably here because they want to see what you do, and yeah, I don't think you should feel bad about doing clouds all day because that's what people apparently like. So
I guess so. The things you don't expect that you don't expect you're going to be drawing most of the time, clouds. I was actually writing down notes. I do plan on doing some tutorials in the future because every time I learn something, I'm like, oh, I want to share this. Like someone else could benefit from this. They would be able to like learn something I learned. So I was writing down all the notes I was learning about making clouds. So, but that requires me to actually sit down and make a tutorial. So that's on my to-do list at some point.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about drawing, sketching, painting, whatever it is. Like every new subject you tackle brings with it new learning and new techniques, and
Mhm.
particularly when you're trying to simplify it to the point of line art.
Yes. That takes a whole different skill set. I mean, clouds. Yeah, I think that's the reason I spend so much time right now revising them, is because you are trying to like simplify something by using mostly only lines.
Mm-hmm.
It can be tricky.
It can be. I find it particularly, and I've been watching a little bit of David Finch, who's a Marvel artist. It's just remarkable with what he can do. Like, he does a 2-hour stream, and he does like a full like cover page of a character, and it's amazing, all inked and everything.
Wow.
But he had a little tutorial about drawing female faces. And of course, he draws in a very stylized superhero way. But he was talking about how to convey the femininity, he has to minimize the line work as much as possible, because every line you put on there is aging your character, you know. So he keeps very little lines in it, as little as he can get away with.
That's a really astute point that he has there, and something I've definitely encounter a lot. Kind of amazing. You think you're like, well, but I need that line for this or that, and you find it, put it in. Like, actually, right now I'm working on a face, so and even like, they're just things like, even if you do like little stuff like that, it's just some little thing.
looks like
I
she has bags under her eyes,
or that.
Yeah,
automatically you're like, whoa.
you just aged her by 20 years.
Right? I don't know if I can do the whole, but it makes sense, because it's calling out. Wow, it's just amazing how it changed. Like, it's really calling out the most important. There's a better way of describing, but like, are the ways we recognize a face. We see the mouth and the nose and the eyes, and as you age, other things. These lines become more prominent, and then we start perceiving them. So that's why I think when we put them down, our brain immediately thinks,
yeah. I mean, she looks like a grandmother there.
I know. This is like, whoa. It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually, one of the pieces he was doing, because he was drawing the head from a variety of different angles. And when he was drawing from below and looking up sort of under the chin, he wouldn't even put the jawline in. He would just have a little bit of a hint by the ear and a little bit of a hint by the chin, but he wouldn't put a line right across the jaw. And it would just let your mind's eye fill that in, and a little bit of shading to define the planes, but no line,
I find drawing from that angle is, first of all, a really cool angle, and there's a lot of neat things you can do with it, but it's also one of the hardest angles.
It is, yeah. That under the jaw, because every time you look at it, it totally deforms the face, and no matter how you draw it, it always looks a little kind of ugly. Like,
and I always love. I have a penchant to want to draw every character like looking up or looking down, and actually, I wonder if let me see if I can pull up one of the more recent ones that I did, where that was a little struggle. It was, her face is slightly tilted. And I always get angry at myself, being like, why do I want to
why do I torture myself?
No, it's so hard. But this is just a JPEG. Let's see. I don't even, this place, I think I kind of like chickened out. Like, you know what? But like, I think I mostly made it where you see just her looking up. Her face isn't angled as much as other times.
Yeah. You got a little bit under the nose.
But interesting. a little bit under the nose.
Yeah.
Sometimes with eyes, I notice if you kind of put it up a bit. I didn't do it as much here. I probably could have, but I really wanted her eyes to be kind of wide. But it's really this kind of shape that's exaggerated.
Yeah.
But it shows out there the eyes are kind of looking up because really that's
Yeah.
kind of what it's doing. And then here, if the more you look up, you can see it on my face a little bit. This angle, which is normally like that,
It gets wider. Yeah.
it gets wider and flatter. So it really just kind of, the more you look up. But it's so tricky. And then you have to, get the lips up higher, and then you have to deal with the issue of the nose, because now you're looking at the nostrils. So how do you accurately do that, yet minimize the holes of the nose?
You want it to be, somewhat accurate, but nobody wants to look up anybody's nose. That's just not attractive.
No, and I mean, so one of the rules in photography, I think they teach is like, don't shoot up the face. And here I am, like always trying to draw the face looking up. It's so tricky, but I think that was one example where I kind of like kind of skirted around it. And if you do those things, you have to make sure you are consistent with every part of the face, because if you're not, something looks a little like.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like the same character if you get the proportions wrong in perspective. It's interesting. It's kind of fascinating, and I mean, you can get away with a lot with like a dynamic pose of the body. You can stretch and distort things a little bit, but you can't distort people's faces.
Oh, yep. Those lines, like the brain will tell on you.
Yeah.
It knows when it's seeing something that's not quite right.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'm gonna have to just step out for a second. I'll be right back.
All right.
How long are you gonna go? It's getting close to.
It's getting kind of close. I'm still good for a little bit. So
Okay.
You step out. I'm thinking another 20 minutes at least.
Okay, I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Okay. Hopefully the lights won't go out. Yeah, if you're out there, good luck. Okay. Anyone who's watching, I am using a magical tool I'm on a vector layer in Clip Studio, which is kind of magical and awesome because whatever lines that intersect, you can use the vector eraser and just take away that line. So it's really great for intersections. Makes really quick cleanup instead of having to go in and like make sure it's all cleaned up like that. So, ooh, and here comes the rain. Trying to make sure I didn't leave any window open. Oops, I probably should go rescue. You know what? Oh, Dan is still here. Dan is here. I'll be heading out soon. If you guys are still on when we get home, I will hop back on. Technology's cooperating. Yay. All right. Well, I'm kind of here until my husband gets home from work. But I'm thinking probably around 5:30 is my cutoff time. So we will see. Otherwise, we'll do this again. In the meantime, y'all, give me a second. It's kind of starting to storm over here. So I'm gonna make a banner. Be right back. And I have a little patio umbrella. That I should probably go take it down because I'm noticing the wind's kind of blowing. Let's see if this works. Can it? I don't know if I can scroll. Okay, that works. Be right back, folks, whoever's watching. crisis averted, hopefully. Don't blow away. I'll try not to. Yay. All right then. Well, oops. Still here? There it is. Okay. I was just watching the wrong feed. Cool. Yay. It is storming. It's kind of exciting though. I like the storms here. They are exciting. Ooh, I feel like I need a nice cozy cup of tea. Got my candle going. Hide. Nope, nope, hide there. Trying to make sure my Wi-Fi is still running effectively. Okay, well, unfortunately, I can't tell if I'm coming across pixelated. It looks like I'm really pixelated on YouTube, but I usually can't, like just looking at StreamYard, I look fine. So I guess I won't know until I'm done with the stream and I get to see the playback of the video. So I apologize if I really am looking as bad as YouTube is portraying it. I'll get this fixed somehow. Okay. Welcome back.
I have to unmute myself. Thank you.
No worries. I was just looking at YouTube and I feel like I look super pixelated. I can't tell. StreamYard, both like our feeds look fine, but I hope that I'm not coming across as a total robot. I guess we'll figure out when I upload this. I'll go check on it and see what people have been watching.
It's hard for me to tell because like you've been cutting in and out a little bit throughout the stream, but I don't know if that's on my end or.
I'm pretty sure it's on my end, but I'm on my hotspot now, so it shouldn't be like that. And I don't know if I want to go back to the other one because I think that's worse.
You sound good right now.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're probably only going to be going. I probably will cut off at 5:30. So, guess I know what I'm going to try and fix this weekend. Alrighty. I gotta figure this out better. Not a fan.
So just getting used to the tools and the shortcuts and things.
Yeah. Do you find it an adjustment from Photoshop?
Well, I never really used Photoshop, a sketchbook.
Okay.
It takes a bit of getting used to.
Hmm.
I mean, that's any new program you pick up, you're going to have a little bit of an adjustment period. But overall, I mean, I do find there's a lot of really useful tools that make you more productive.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the switch going to Clip Studio. But I mean, I still use. Okay, I'll preface. I actually did Easy Paint tool side before this,
Okay.
which is very similar in many ways, but it just doesn't have quite the many features or the community and support to back it up.
Yeah.
Smaller program. And I still do like Photoshop for many things. So I'm not ready to say goodbye to Photoshop by all means. But there, I don't know. There are things I think they play more nicely together. I think that's a frustrating thing is that it a lot of stuff doesn't cross communicate.
Yeah.
And so I kind of have to be very deliberate. Like if I save it as a Clip Studio file, I gotta be like, well, if I want to work on Photoshop, I'm going to lose all this information or ability to edit.
Yeah.
If I want to go back and do so.
I know I tried from Sketchbook Pro. They do have a feature to save as a Photoshop file, but I lost all the information in my layers when I did that, so it was kind of useless.
Yeah, I know for Clip Studio, it's vector files. You lose all that, which I am actually starting to use more, and they are handy. I mean, once I'm done really using them, I don't have much of a, it's probably okay. I don't need them anymore, but as silly as it sounds, I really love the color coding when it comes to your layers. And yes, what can I say? Photoshop does color coding, but it doesn't save your color codes. If I were to like take it from Clip Studio and put it in Photoshop, it's not going to save any of that. And Photoshop only has like 5 colors you can choose from, whereas Clip Studio you can choose any color to assign to a layer. Like you can literally go into the palette and be like, I can choose any color I want, and it's just been really helpful. So. Okay. Toss that. I'll come back.
Funny how there's just little differences that kind of throw you off sometimes. Like I do find with the coloring, like doing the flatting, when you select an area with your lasso tool or whatever tool you're using, and then you hit it with the paint bucket, it doesn't fill the whole area. It takes the background into consideration. So like if I'll give you an example. So if I wanted to change this whole area to a different color, I wanted to make that blue for whatever reason, and I hit it with the paint bucket, it only colors in part of it because the background was different. and then I have to hit the other part separately. Now I'm sure there's a setting I could probably change that, but that's sort of the native. That's the native way that it works.
You might be referencing all layers. Maybe make sure that you're set to. Let me see if I can do this here, where you reference only that layer.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. I just tap twice instead of once, but it throws you off when you first do it.
It throws you off, and honestly, you'd probably work faster. Let's see. That layer. Because I've heard of people saying this before. Okay. So do select an area again. I'm gonna put you on the screen. Let's put your screen on. Maybe that's the one. There it is. Okay, now hit the paint bucket.
Yep.
Do you have?
Yeah, see, it says reference other layers. It says at the top.
Oh, you're on that side. You want to actually there's a way it says refer only to editing layer.
Multiple. Hang on.
Let's see. Reference.
Exclude editing. Exclude text. Exclude draft. Exclude box. All layers. Selected layer.
Yeah, where were the other ones? That's selected layer.
Selected layer, reference layer, or all layers.
Make sure it's just on selected layer.
Yeah.
Is that where it was?
That's not where it was.
Okay, try it. So still does it. What I want you to do next is go to your selection tool. How you actually select it in the first place.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at mine.
That's okay. We don't have to figure that out right now, but okay. I can play around with that and figure it out.
It's usually one of those things. The weird thing is it doesn't look like it's actually adhering to what you have in the background because it doesn't line up with that. So that's what makes see how it overlaps?
It's lining up with something else, which is odd. This one lines up with the background. This one's overlapping for some reason. That's like, it's not that big a deal. Yeah. But
that's always been your case?
What's that?
Has that always been your case in Clip Studio?
Yeah, well, I've only been using it for a week or so.
Okay.
Yeah. But
yeah. I would say if you find you come to a point where you do want to figure out how to change that, probably go into a separate document, sort of an isolated document, and just test it out with some layers, and then Google.
Oh yeah. No, it seems like there's a really great community that can give you lots of answers if you take the time to sort of look for it. So I can totally do that.
Yeah. I run into those weird little things every now and then. And it's either like I have to or it's like just annoying enough, but it's not like impeding any progress. So I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out later. Or it really is like, I have to figure this out. I can't move on until I find out the cause.
Yeah.
They knock on wood. I haven't encountered any errors like that lately. It's been really nice.
Well, I imagine if I use it for a little bit longer, it won't take long for me to figure those kinds of things out.
I think most of my errors typically come when either Windows or Adobe or Clip Studio releases a new update and then they don't play well with each other. And then I wake up one morning, I get to work, and I'm like, what? Why isn't this working? Why is that tool not working? I'm like, oh, and then I look at spend like 3 hours figuring out, okay, they released an update. Everyone's saying it's not working.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I actually stopped using Psy is one of the updates that Windows released just didn't play well with Psy. And Psy was the other program I was using. And I kind of was like, you know what? This is essential. Like, I guess I'm going to start using Clip Studio.
Yeah. That's especially frustrating when it's not even the program that's the problem, but Windows does an update and messes up your program, and that's really frustrating.
It was frustrating. And Psy was small enough that like they figured out a solution for Photoshop, but not for another program like Psy. And it was something to do with my tablet, and like it was so important because it was like the stability of my line was just I think it was something simple, like you draw a line and it kind of put a little kink in at the end, like no matter what. And it was just kind of like I can't work with this.
Yeah.
But in all truthfulness, Psy was a great little program, but by far this has served me very well.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, Clip Studio. Like I say, I got it, I think about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. I got it, and I played around with it a little bit because I heard a lot of good things about it. But I just found the interface a little bit overwhelming when I was used to using Sketchbook, which was really designed for use on smaller tablets where you couldn't have a keyboard. So everything had to be visual and on the interface and easily accessible. So it emulated that feeling of just sketching on paper really well. So moving to anything from that was more complex, and I wasn't in the right frame of mind to take that on.
Yeah. Now, Sketchbook is for Mac, is that right?
You can get it for Mac or PC. Yeah.
I think I'm thinking of a Procreate or another
Procreate is on iPad. Yeah, Procreate is
iPad. That's what. Okay. So many these days.
Sketchbook is a really good program, I think, for beginners. If you want to try to make that transition from working on, with pencil and paper and work digitally, it's free now, and you can get it on Android tablets if you have a tablet that has drawing capability, and you can get it on PC or Mac. And it works well for sketching. I think when you go beyond the sketching phase, it lacks a little.
Need some more editing features and just the features that are really helpful to have.
Yeah.
No, Photoshop still beats Clip out of the water when it comes to editing features and just that it's so powerful. Like I think Clip still feels a little feeble with a lot of those things. But I'm not doing a whole lot of editing really because I'm making a comic. I'm not, photoshopping pictures.
Yeah.
So, but I still there are times where it's like it's just essential. Like I need that feature, so I'm still not willing to not have my subscription anymore. But yeah.
So I've never had it, so I don't know what I'm missing. But I think never having had it, with the tools I do have, I can find a way to do whatever I need to do.
Exactly.
If I had Photoshop and there was like an easy one-click button that would do it, then I would miss that.
Yeah. Everything you need to do for your comic, you can do in Clip easily.
Yeah.
And unless you're a photographer, editing pictures, you're fine. The one, like, it's just funny because like every now and then I'll be like, like, man, Clip Studio does that so much better than Photoshop, or like, oh, Photoshop is so much better than Clip Studio in this area. I just wish I could. And like one of those areas is, have you used the adjustment layers? Not adjustment layers, the blending modes.
A little bit, yeah.
It's you can set, for anyone who's watching, you can set things to multiply in different screen and all these different blending modes that basically take that layer and affect the layer below it. So
Actually, I did that. You mentioned about putting a black layer on top and seeing what your image looked like in black and white. And I wasn't sure what mode you used for that. I put it on color mode.
Found it. That's the one.
Is it? Okay. Because it also seems to kind of do the same thing. Is it hue? Hue kind of does the same thing.
I don't know the difference between the two, but
yeah, color mode gives you that, you know, turn it into a black and white image and just see. I mean, a scene like this, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But as I put more shading in, it might make a difference. But you know, as it is right now, it's not a distinctive difference. It does kind of show, though, that like there are a lot of colors in there that are very close
to each other.
In their very close in their values, which I could make some adjustments to that. But I think when I throw the shadows in, it'll differentiate things. So I don't want to make a change right now, but
I don't see anything that's like not jiving. So I think it looks fine. Here, I'll do that. I forgot. There's nothing in there that's like, oh, that needs to, like, I can't tell what that is, or it needs to be separated. So it looks fine to me.
Yeah.
The nice thing what Photoshop does is you can click on blending modes, and just by moving your cursor down, not even clicking on it, it goes through the blending mode. So you can do a quick preview rather than having to like, select each one and then see what it looks like. And it's just like something little like that, where I'm like, I wish I could do that on Clip, but I can't. Like, I have to actually click everyone. And then I go to Photoshop and I'm editing and I'm like, oh, I forgot how cool this is. The horrible woes of an artist.
The woes of an artist, yes.
And all these amazing tools available to us, and how terrible we have it.
I've always kind of waffled back and forth too, because like if you look online, like Photoshop is the industry standard. And originally it was never really designed for creating artwork. It wasn't designed for drawing, and people had to find ways to make it work for that.
Yes.
Now it is kind of the industry standard, and there's all these brushes available and all this other stuff. But like where I kind of waffle back and forth is this whole idea that, you know, it's a poor artist who blames their tool. You know, like a really good artist can make good art with anything. But it becomes down to productivity, and that's where something like Photoshop, if Photoshop can help you to do it faster, still takes a lot of artistic skill, but they have a lot of little things that make it more efficient. In a professional industry, that's valuable. You know.
I completely agree. Said something. I was gonna comment on it. Photoshop designed for exactly what's in the name, make photos and editing photos, but a lot of people still use it for art. And I don't know, like I think the craziest thing that I found is Clip Studio so easily blends two colors. Like, it actually performs more like, oh man, maybe someone's gonna call me out on this, but like it performs more like real oils. So I can, here, I'll throw it on my screen for a little bit. And I'll just make a new little layer. So Side did this as well, where you would have, oops, hold on a second. Let's just do this. You'd have red and you'd have blue, and then they would have a blender. I'm gonna grab my normal blender or just a basic blender, and it would actually make purple and it would blend it. And it's now maybe at this point Photoshop is different, but you would have to actually. I remember watching a tutorial and someone's like, yeah, like a really good artist, you color pick and then you do a little bit and then you color pick again and then you can do it again. And I'm like, how could you do a whole picture like that? I mean, I guess you work with what you got to work with. And you got to select it on here, and it just seems so obtuse. I know that Photoshop's brushes, their engine is still so much more powerful than Clip Studio when it comes to actually taking a brush and changing it and making it like customizing it. Clip Studio has gotten better. It's decent, but definitely not anywhere what Photoshop has. But I mean, blending the paint, I haven't experimented with Photoshop, but just even the way that you take a dot and you draw a line, it flows so much better in Clip Studio. It feels like you're holding a crayon with both hands in Photoshop, and just you can't even with your tablet, it's hard to get a beautiful line variance. And guys, like, I guess maybe it's not your forte, so you're not really focusing on it, but you could win so many more people over if you.
It is interesting though, because really it was never originally designed to be used that way, and people have forced it to work that way and created brushes to try and make it work that way.
Yeah.
And it's still the industry standard,
Yeah. Yeah. And for a lot of artists still, it kind of blows my mind. But yeah, it's interesting. And at this point, like, there's so many new tools though, that's kind of like, maybe it is wise that they're not trying to compete in an area that, another program does so much better, because they're probably going to be so behind the curve that they might as well just keep doing what they're good at. So.
Oh, my dog has come for a visit. Do you want to say hello? Want to say hello?
He or she?
There she is.
Oh, look at that. Hold on. Here we go.
Where is she? There she is.
Oh, look at that face.
Hello. Yes, hello. Oh. I don't like to be held.
Oh, but she's so cute. What's her name?
Cammy.
Cammy.
No, it's short for Camilla.
I love for the what?
Camilla.
Camilla.
Yeah, so we just call her Cammy. It's funny because she, my wife is actually, she runs a doggy daycare and she does dog training. And this is the first real purebred dog we've ever owned. We've always had just mutts. And she got Cammy. She likes the bully breeds. They're kind of stubborn and energetic and all that. But she was born deaf, and we didn't know when we first got her. So she doesn't hear anything. We took her and had her tested, and they put sensors on her back of her head, sort of test her brain stem, and said nothing. She's not hearing anything. So she's not the greatest dog to demonstrate dog training techniques with. But we love her. So.
Well, she's a real cutie. How old is she?
She would be about 2.5 now.
Okay. It's a young. Well, I know she's not really a puppy anymore, but young little doggy.
She's funny though, because where she can't hear, she gets kind of hyper focused on visual stimuli. And like in the evening, whenever we open our door, the main door to the house, it creates little lights across the floor. and she thinks that these things are alive, and she tries to catch them. It's like when you use a laser pointer with a cat.
Yeah.
She just goes crazy for these things. I gotta catch them. I gotta catch them.
And dogs are already kind of like that. So, but when you don't have your hearing, you just have your eyesight. Like I could see that's extra attention grabbing. That's so fun. I'm gonna have to tell my sister-in-law that she needs to watch a stream just to see the Frenchie. She's like, what? All right, let's see. Did I get everything that I needed? I think I did. Ooh, that's gonna be tricky. Okay. Do you have any plans for the weekend?
Nothing specific. I might take a drive. I have a motorcycle that I don't get to drive very often, so I might take a drive down the coast on the motorcycle.
That sounds really cool. Especially if the weather is good.
Yeah.
What is the weather up there this time of year? Like,
well, it's kind of a local joke that if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute. But on average, I don't know what Fahrenheit is. I only know it in Celsius.
oh.
30 degrees Celsius is quite a hot day, and with the humidity that we have here, if you're hitting 30 degrees, it's uncomfortable. And we kind of average between 22 and 30. So if it's 22 and it's sunny and it's not windy, that's a nice, beautiful, comfortable day. And
probably around 70 degrees, I'm guessing.
If
For
you say so.
20, 70.
Yeah. Only thing
whatever we consider is comfortable, right?
The only thing I know about Fahrenheit, to be honest with you, is when I was living in the Northwest Territories, I discovered that -40 is the same in both systems. So when you get to -40, they match up.
Really?
Yeah. So -40 Fahrenheit and -40 Celsius is the same thing.
That's a good thing to know, except your brain is too frozen to comprehend it.
I think it was.
When were you in the Northwest Territories?
Well, I lived there when I first graduated from occupational therapy. We moved up there. We lived there for about 5 years. That would be about 9 years ago that we left.
Wow. I bet that was quite the experience.
It was really interesting, It was an interesting spot to be, and there was I got the opportunity to learn about the Aboriginal Native culture there, and just practicing as a therapist in a really rural community. It forces you to try to be creative and work with what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Huh. Did you see much wildlife?
We did, yeah. There was a couple of eagles that used to live nearby us, and we'd see quite often. And we were very close to a huge sort of sanctuary buffalo park where they had buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And when you drive from one community to another, you'd quite often encounter them. They'd just be like wandering around on the road because they were within the boundaries of the park, and the road would go through it, and no one could hunt them in that space. So they just they didn't have any fear. And I mean, they're bigger than your car, so
don't know if you'd feel safe in the car.
Yeah, well, you would just kind of stand back and wait for them to mosey on along. You didn't beep your horn at them or try to get them angry or anything.
Yeah.
They were huge. And one time when we went between two of the communities. You're traveling on a dirt highway, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a highway between communities. That's just a dirt road. They pack it down and do stuff and try to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing around you at all but forest. And our daughter was in the back, and she was quite young at the time, and I think she was asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw some bears up on the hill on the side of the highway. And we're trying to sort of wake her up, and we slowed down so we could look at the bears, and we're trying to wake her up, and the bears saw us and charged at us. and so we had to pick up speed to get past them before they got to the car, and they ran across the highway behind us. We were just like, oh my goodness.
Did she wake up in time to see that, or did
she did not get a chance to see it, unfortunately, but
probably a good thing.
Yeah, it was just one of those situations, and we thought about it afterwards, and we're like, you know what? Those bears likely have never seen a person or a car. Like, they're so remote, they have no idea what we are or why we're there, and they just are going to try and scare us away.
Yeah, they see you as a threat.
Yeah, and I mean, they weren't huge bears, but any bear is big enough.
Any bear is still big enough. Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a good thing that she wasn't awake. Otherwise, you'd have a screaming girl probably. Like,
It was,
deal with it at the same time.
It certainly was an interesting place to be, and definitely worth it, I think, to spend a few years there.
We hope that at some point we'll get a chance to be stationed in Alaska. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, it would be very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't know what other places you've been stationed, but when you go to a really remote place like that, there's just a whole different mindset towards things. Like the community we live in now is a very small community, and when you're in a very small community, you just have this more laid back pace of life that I quite like.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're in the rat race. You don't feel like you have to go. You can kind of relax. I can get to anything in this town with my car. I can get to anything within about 3 minutes.
Yeah. That yeah. That would be really cool and unique. Did you ever feel like it was it was kind of, how long were you there?
We were in the Northwest Territories for 5 years. And actually, the reason we ended up leaving, and this is one of the drawbacks of smaller communities, is there was somebody elected to the head of the school board, essentially, started making some decisions that we didn't agree with that affected our daughter. And we said, you know what? We're just going to go where we can get the services we want. Specifically because we had tried to put her into a French school there, and there's some very strict regulations around who can and cannot go to French school.
Interesting.
So we came back to Nova Scotia, and also to be closer to my mother, who needed some support. And because in Nova Scotia, at the very least, she could go into French immersion. So that worked out fine. But yeah, 5 years, I think that was a good amount of time to get a sort of full experience of the place.
Yeah. And then it's on to the next adventure.
Yeah. Where else have you been? Have you know, you were in Japan. Have you guys been stationed elsewhere?
Yeah, let's see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're from the Seattle area, and we got to be stationed in South Carolina for a few
Oh,
years. And
nice.
then after that, we went to Japan for a few years. So that was almost a bigger culture shock going from South Carolina to Japan than
I can imagine.
actually no what it was a big culture shock, but it was actually more of a culture shock moving to South Carolina from Seattle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in some ways. I mean, but Seattle has a lot of Pacific influence and like Japanese influence. So going to Japan felt more like going home in some ways.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool, just to see different parts of the world. Yeah, we were in Japan for a few years, and then we were in Virginia for a few years, and now we're here in Florida. So we have one more year here, and we'll see where we go next.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I want to go back to the West Coast.
Was that?
I was just saying we'd love to try and get back to the West Coast for a little bit, or Colorado, or Europe. I'd love to go to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's the nice thing about. I mean, I know a lot of people that in Canada that have gone into military service, and there's some really nice benefits to doing that. You know, I mean, in Canada at least, there's a lot of support for you to develop your education if you're in the military, and and you get to go places like that and see different parts of the world, and it's there's a lot of value in it.
that is one of the nice perks, is seeing places I wouldn't either be able to or wouldn't choose to. That's also one of the drawbacks, is there's a lot of places we don't really have a choice and we have to go to.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest drawback for me, is I really love certain environments, and there are times where, like, admittedly, like, Florida is just a little too hot for my taste, and I miss the outdoors a lot, and it's hard to get out. It's just a different way of getting out. I've never been like too big on beaches. I'd rather go for a hike. So and it's fine because, like, I'm able to explore new things, and we were able to go to the Caribbean last year, and that was really fun to try things that we normally wouldn't try. So there is that.
Well, you'll probably never get posted there, but if you like hiking, you should go to Newfoundland.
Really?
Newfoundland is a huge expanse of wilderness with hiking trails and parks and mountainous regions. You would probably find some really nice stuff there that you would like if you're into hiking.
I'm sure I would. I feel like I'm kind of out of practice now at this point.
Putting a little plug for Canadian tourism.
I know. Oh, you don't have to convince me to want to go visit Canada. I do love Canada. I've never been to the east coast of Canada, so that'd be really fun. I've always wanted to try visiting even just Toronto. Like, haven't even been anywhere east of Alberta.
Well, Toronto is not really east as far as Easterners would be concerned.
Okay.
Honestly, if you talk to Canadians, they would tell you that Toronto is probably the most American spot in Canada you can go. So,
really?
So if they're very much like the U.S. And you won't get a sense of Canada when you're in Toronto.
Really? I wonder why that is.
I think part of it is geography, and part of it is just the size of the place. Like, it's one of the largest urban centers in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to Montreal, of course, you've got that distinctive French atmosphere, although Montreal's about 50-50 French and English. If you go to the city of Quebec, that's more French. If you go to anywhere in New Brunswick, it's more rural, but it's kind of New Brunswick is the only province in the country where the French and English seem to have really blended together well.
Really?
Like you don't have conflict so much in New Brunswick. They just sort of all get along for the most part. But there's a distinctive French culture and there's distinctive English culture there. Nova Scotia, of course, is New Scotland. There's a lot of European influence from Scotland and England there. PEI is just a tiny island surrounded by beaches. And Newfoundland is, if you like wilderness and you like hiking, and in the winter, if you like skiing, there's Marble Mountain, there's a big mountain there for skiing. And if you like sort of driving around, seeing little fishing villages and seeing odd local culture, they're a quirky bunch there. I don't know the West Coast very much. I know you've been to the West Coast a little bit, but
yeah, that's why I'm kind of intrigued, and I wonder if they would. So if they consider Toronto to be like the most Americanized city in Canada, I wonder what they would consider Vancouver to be. But I don't also have really a point of reference. I just know Vancouver to be Vancouver, and from my limited knowledge, it doesn't. Again, from not having visited the actual East Coast of Canada, the French culture is much less pronounced over there, and it's definitely more of an Asian culture.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and Native American culture too.
Yeah, I think it's funny because as you go west across the country, you get to the central part of the country, and it seems to become a bit more. I mean, you've got a lot of farming communities and sort of traditional attitudes and things. Vancouver, I mean, although I haven't been there and I haven't spent time there, what I know of it, I think of it as a very progressive and diverse place where you have a lot of different sort of cultures coming together.
Yeah.
East Coast is a little less diverse, but you have some really unique and interesting histories.
Yeah.
You know?
It kind of feels like that's very similar in America too, where it's, the West Coast tends to be a little more progressive, it tends to be a little more a melting pot within the melting pot. And, but, the East Coast has more of the history.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that mirroring each other. Yeah, interesting. It's so fascinating to me that, when I was growing up, I think that's one of the coolest things about travel. It really does open your eyes to how different the world is around you. But again, like we were talking a couple streams earlier, different, but still solving problems in just different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like, how we were talking about they do different things differently, but it is very unique. So that was really, that's why I said I think the culture shock was almost greater for us moving from Seattle to the East Coast. Because it was that different. It's that, we're on such a broad continent that it varies pretty drastically. And then you go to like a European country and it's totally different.
Yeah.
It was very like that country.
I can definitely see that. I mean, even within Nova Scotia, I mean, Halifax is the largest urban center in Nova Scotia, and it's very diverse. There's 3 major universities in Halifax. So you get a lot of people from all over the world coming to Halifax, and you get a lot of mixing of cultures and that. But then you go 4 or 5 hours to the east and you're in Cape Breton, and there's a very distinctive traditional culture there that's totally different from what you see in Halifax. And even the language can be, for some people, even difficult to understand because of the way they speak and the accent they have and the colloquialisms they use and that. And Newfoundland, for sure, it's hard to understand what people are saying because they have this interesting mix of French and English and Newfoundlandese.
Newfoundlandese.
Yeah.
Oh, I love all those differences, though.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest things during this whole lockdown is we were hoping to go visit Europe, and now it's like I'm not doing that for a while, I guess.
Yeah.
I like, all right, I do so badly. Like, if I would rather spend money on going and traveling.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. But that's why I watch all my PBS broadcasting stations and just pretend I am traveling somewhere.
Do you have a sense of where you might be posted next?
Well, my husband has to do. He's most likely going to do something called school for a year, and it's part of the military. We actually might be able to find out relatively soon, but most likely that's going to be in Alabama. But there's a possibility we could go to DC or maybe to California. So, which we're pulling for the latter two if we can. And nothing against the South, but again, I just we've been in South Carolina and we've done some training in the South, and it's just Florida, people don't technically consider it the South, so I'm just kind of ready for something that's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we were in the DC area, so we have like people that we know there, and those were kind of it seemed like the most available alternative choices, but it seems like Alabama is going to be the more likely one, but we don't know, so we'll see.
Never know.
Make
the best of it.
Actually, one of the options at one point was we decided to not we basically put together a list, and we decided not to put this on our list because it would actually take my husband down a different trajectory than the job he wants to pursue. Mm-hmm. But one of them was in Idaho Falls, which I think is really close to Jason. So I was just like, artist buddy. So
yeah.
I was like, maybe we'll be closer to family and we'll be by mountains and there won't be humidity. Well, you never know.
Never know what'll happen.
Actually, this assignment and the one before it have both been surprises to us. Yeah. Like neither of these were on our, we call it a dream sheet because that's what it is. It's just really a dream. They were not on that sheet. And so it was kind of like both of them were like, wait, what?
Well, that is, there's a lot of positives to the military, but you got to go where you're told to go. And that's.
That is for better or for worse. But there are a lot of really good perks and good, just good job security for my husband. And,
yeah.
We like to say here that you don't like a place, don't worry, it'll change. Or if you like a place, like savor it because that's going to change too.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go there too.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a military person like myself. I couldn't see myself being in the military, but I know a lot of people have gone through it, and it's been a great experience for them. They've gotten a lot out of it. I don't have anything against it. It just wasn't for me. I'm too artsy.
What?
I'm too artsy.
It's funny you mentioned that because you're talking to one of our friends here in the military, in the Air Force with my husband. And she was I wasn't there when they were talking, but she's asking, is like, has your wife ever considered joining the military? She seems like she would be a good fit for it. And later he told me that. I'm like, whoa, like really? Like I guess it's kind of a cool, like flattering thing. Like she thinks I have skills outside of art. Oh, well, she's fooled, but like it was kind of neat. And we were talking about it, and I think for the most part, I don't have a problem. I actually really like structure, and I like having. I wouldn't have a problem doing what I'm told.
Yeah.
But then I will definitely caveat it and almost exactly go the opposite and say, but I'd like to do it my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just within the military, it's like you have to do it like a very certain way.
Yeah.
And I think that would just kind of that would feel kind of restrictive to me.
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's an aspect of it that is just you need to fall in line and do what you're told. There's a piece of it that goes with that. And I just would really struggle with that.
Yeah. Yep. 1 second here. Sounds like my husband's getting off work.
You gotta run.
I will in a minute. Luckily we live fairly close to base, so that's actually quite nice. So he doesn't have. I think
That's good.
Well, and so that's my main reason. Well, actually, no, that's the second reason. The main reason is that honestly, there's not enough creative outlets in the military, and I that's how I'm wired. I'm built to. I don't think they have like an art program or an art force. Like it's going to be like an artist's mock. We're going to make an art force.
Well, you never know. You never know.
And our emblem will be a paintbrush and a pen, like crossed over, and we'll have our own song and dance. And he just shakes his head and like, currently the Space Force, making the world beautiful. Husband has the.
You could join the propaganda team. You're breaking up a little bit on me again.
Closer. Okay, well, actually, I think I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. I don't even know if anyone's still here. Oh, it says some people are still watching. But I think, I really am breaking up.
I'll say goodbye. Thanks for having me on, Jessica.
All right.
See ya.
Have a good one.
You too.